All right, and finally, pull up a stool for a conversation with one of the most talented bartenders, not only in Detroit, but the country. Marlowe Johnson is the bar manager for the 4th Street Galley downtown, and he gave us his take on hospitality as a skilled trade, a restaurant's packed with the community, and what the future holds as the Detroit dining scene continues to heat up.
My name is Marlowe Johnson, and I'm the bar manager here at the 4th Street Galley. On the one hand, I have to manage and train and educate my bartenders in the same way a head chef or an executive chef determines the trajectory of their program. You have to decide, well, what is our style? What's the essence of what we do? What is our technique? At a certain point, it kind of becomes largely philosophical, I think less than practical. And then we're going into brandy. The narrative of Detroit and this fine dining, fine drinking culture for a long period of its history was very important. And I also think now, pressingly, in a time where we're seeing, not a commensurate growth with minimum wage, where we're seeing property values go up, where we're seeing people forced out of neighborhoods, where we're seeing people having to work 3, 4, 5 jobs to support their families, that hospitality is one of the fastest, least barrier to entry routes to a middle class lifestyle. Certainly in Detroit, where to have a median income of $52,000 is to be considered in an upper bracket, right? I know servers that do way more than that, with no college education or without debts or on their own schedule that works for them. And when we're looking even in a larger sense about, well, how do we, empower our populations? How do we have, homegrown talents and skills? Craft is a skill you can do anywhere in the world. Woodworking, bartending, plumbing, these are all things that you can learn in a relatively short amount of time that can service you for the rest of your life. There's a great disservice to us if we forget that bartending is fundamentally about hospitality. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody walk into a bar and feel uncomfortable or unwanted or out of place. And that's something I really tried to do with this program here. I wanted to be able to serve your $75 pours of Taiwanese whiskey to the, high-flying, knowledgeable business person that comes in, as much as I wanted you to be able to have a $3 Tiger Tallboy, shot of Jim Beam White, drink like how we bartenders drink. We have to make cocktails and drinks affordable. We have to have a range and a spectrum so that all people can enjoy it. Because if we start eliminating the young kids who live in the neighborhood or the old people who have been in assisted housing down the block and we only cater to Birmingham, we're losing and we're betraying our compact with the community. There is a danger in, if we see this as a gold rush, we have restaurateurs with no experience opening restaurants who are either underpaying people or not properly practicing food service, or actually at the end of the day, maybe most egregious, just not providing a good product. Recently, I'd say in the last year or so, we've started having our first really harsh critical pieces being written about restaurants in Detroit. And so I think it's important for us to maintain a critical presence in Detroit where we have to be no, it's not just we can be all happy that there's so many things are opening. We have to have good things. And we talk about the idea of restaurant survival. 60% of restaurants close in the first year, 80% in the first 5 years. That's not just your business, that's the livelihood of your employees, that's the culture and community that you're serving. It's not something to be taken lightly. And the number of times I've seen people go, well, I have some money now, I think I'm gonna open a restaurant, it seems cool, and just drive that directly into the ground, it's anxiety building. So I think there's a good thing happening in Detroit where we are creating and building, and now we'll see over time restaurants and bars start to close as unfortunately we solidify on the most important and best of them. Toki Spritz.